Hello and welcome. Now that we understand 5 different selection states, let's use them to explore smart search in Qlik Sense. So let's begin with, say for instance, decade of 1960. So you can type in freeform fashion 1960, and as you see, this is Google-like search. Qlik Sense is bringing fields that contain that word 1960s. So we're going to select decade of 1960, and let's say I also wanted to include a decade of 1970, so I can type 1970, and using Shift key I selected that. Now I have 2 decades, 60s and 70s, and at this point I want to search for, say, director name Francis Ford Coppola. So I can type Francis, and sure enough, I have Francis Ford Coppola in the director list along with another director. But let's say I'm going to select both of them. So now I have both. And I want to unselect the other director. So here it is. So I can see that in the decade of 60s and 70s, Francis Ford Coppola directed 8 movies. Now let's explore this a little further. So I'm going to navigate to the movie selector screen, and here I have details of all the movies that he directed in the decade of 60s and 70s. So for instance, I want to select year 1974, and as you see, instantly Qlik Sense brought me a list of 2 movies that he directed in that year, and that's Godfather Part 2 and The Conversation. So at this point, if I click on the filter decade, something interesting I see here. 1970's been selected since it's in green, but I also see a dark gray with a check mark for the 60s. That means because I made selection on the year field of 1974, that value instantly made 60s excluded. So that's selected excluded, one of the states that we reviewed in the prior lecture. So that's interesting to observe here. Now at this point, let's click on the filter panel screen, and we have all the filters at our disposal. So what we're going to do is we're going to observe a few things here. One is that you see in the year field 63 through 79 are in light gray, meaning if I had not selected year 1974, these other values would have been possible values. And how do I know that? If I click on 74 and unselect 74, then all of a sudden all these values are in white. So if you remember from the previous lecture, those are the possible values based on the decades of 60s and 70s and Francis Ford Coppola as director. So I'm going to accept that, and then let's explore a little more. So if I go back to the screen here and navigate to the dashboard, I see I have movies with different ratings, 2, 4, and 5. And let's say I'm only interested in movies with rating of 3 or above. So how do I search that? Now, if you're working with the SQL tool, you have to keep rewriting that query every time user asks this type of questions. Not with Qlik Sense, because you can perform expression search in Qlik Sense as well. So the trick here is I can make expression search on any field because Qlik Sense is associative data model, meaning every field is associated with another field. So in order to perform an expression search, all I need to do is to start that with equal sign, and then I can type field name rating, and that is case sensitive. So you have to type the field name in exact case, and then I use greater than sign, and let's say 3. So all I'm telling Qlik Sense search engine is to find list of movies that have rating of greater than 3, even though I'm making that selection on the actor field, because all these fields are associated with one another. And then I can hit enter key, and that selects all the values. And now if I navigate back, I can see that the list has reduced now down to movies with ratings of 4 and 5, since I selected rating of greater than 3. So that is another interesting way to explore additional searches and find answers for questions you may have. Now, what if I wanted to look at movies with length of greater than 150 minutes, so 2.5 hours? In order to do that, say I can do a search on the title itself and type sum of length, which is the length of the movie, and we can say greater than or equal to 150. And if I hit enter here, now I have only 3 movies that qualified for that particular expression search. And as you see, the length field now shows only 150, 175, and 200 as possible values. And the movies that qualified are The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, and Apocalypse Now. So these are the movies. Now I can go back and look at various screens to perform additional search. So as you see, Qlik Sense provides various ways to perform different kinds of smart searches, including expression search, to instantly find answers for questions that you may have while you explore data. And that's the beauty of Qlik Sense versus other tools, where Qlik Sense has this robust associative data model that allows you to perform this type of searches. Now, this is good, but what if I want to do a search that has and kind of clause? So question may be, I want to know about movies in which both Al Pacino, who played major role in The Godfather, and Sofia Coppola played roles together. So how do you do that type of search? Let's clear all these selections and let's start with actor Al Pacino. So here it is. Now I have the actor selected. I can go and click on this little search glass and then on the 3 ellipses and select possible values in the title field. So I want to lock all these movies that Al Pacino played role in to begin with. So I selected all the movies in which he played a role. Now I can unselect Al Pacino as actor and search for Coppola. And here's Sofia Coppola, so I can select her name. And as soon as I made that selection, now I see a change here in the title screen. And as you see, it shows The Godfather Part 3 as the only selected value. That means that's the only movie in which both Sofia Coppola and Al Pacino played a role together, even though you see those other movies are listed here. So what is that telling us? That Sofia Coppola played roles in these 3 other movies, but since Al Pacino did not play a role in those movies, those are shown in light gray, since we are only looking for movies in which both played roles. So that is how you can explore various searches using this 5 essential selection states within Qlik Sense. Hope that by now you see how powerful Qlik Sense search engine is, and it allows you to perform all types of free-form smart searches, including expression searches on the fly, to answer any question you may have in a free-form fashion rather than being constrained by a SQL statement or a confined hierarchy that you see in other tools. Thank you for watching.